Welcome, my dear friends. Today I'm going to talk about some new rhythms here. If you've been following my tutorials, I've been going step by step. We've talked about quarter note, half note, we've talked about quarter rest, half rest, whole note. So now today I'm introducing a new rhythm and we are going to look at it in detail. So I'm talking about new rhythms. Under this, I'm going to be talking about single eighth note, and then I'll talk about DS Alpine. Then I'll talk about dotted quarter note. I'll talk about new dynamics, FF and PP. That is loud and soft. So we begin with eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. Sometimes can be written like this, the way you see this, or it can be inverted like this. They still mean the same thing, and this is equals to a half of a beat. A half of a beat. So eighth note is the half of a quarter note. In this case, you know how a quarter note looks like. When you look, this is our quarter note. This is how it looks. So eighth note is a half of a beat, which is the quarter note. So when we combine two eighth notes, 1/8 plus another eighth, it will give us two eighth notes together, and the two eighth notes will be equal or will be the same as one quarter note, which is giving us one beat. You understand? When you combine two eighth notes, you get one beat. So there are two eighth notes in one beat, or a quarter note, or you can call it a crotchet. So now, the most important thing with this rhythm is you should be able to understand it and interpret it in the music. When you're given, maybe let's say, a lead sheet, or you are given something to work with, a song to play, and these notes are appearing there, you should be able to interpret very fast, and you should know the values. So the most important thing with this rhythm is you as a musician, you are supposed to be able to know the value of these notes. How long do a half of a beat sound? How long do an eighth note sound? How long do a quarter note sound? How long do a half note sound? So you should know all this. So now let's see, how do we count in eighth notes? How do we count? So here we are saying, how do we count? The easiest way to count these eighth notes is by using numbers and a sign of the and, which is and. So you can say 1 and. So 1 and at this position, you're saying 1 and. So the and completes a quarter note. It completes a one beat. So when I say 1 and, it means I have counted one beat. The and completes the one beat. So if I say 1 and, then I say 2 and, those are already 2 beats. Then I say 3 and, those are already 3 beats. Then 4 and, those are 4 beats. So also here is the same thing. So now here I'm teaching you how to count these eighth notes with the rest. So the rest, this is the rest, it looks like that, and this is where there's silence. Whenever there's a rest, we don't play. Okay, this is the rest for an eighth note. The rest for an eighth note looks like this. So whenever you see this sign, it means you're not supposed to play for an eighth length. So it's an eighth silence. You keep silent for an eighth count. So when we are counting where there's silence, also we say and the and we don't play. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Okay, so also here these are four eighth notes that are beamed up together. So how do we count? We still say 1N. Okay, so whether there's a silent sign, a rest, or not, we'll still use the N. The N just helps us to count them in full length. So we say 1N, 2N. Okay, so also here is a 3N, then 4N. Okay, so that is the eighth note, as simple as that. Okay, so the eighth note is a half of a quarter note. So when you combine two eighth notes, you get one quarter note, which is a beat. Okay, so there's a song called The King's Court. The King's Court. So I'm just going to play a few lines. So here I think you can see the song is in a 4/4 time, and here it's beginning with the note B. So this is not B, not B, not D, then not D again, then A, then G, then A, then B. Okay, and the rest. So how do we count here? We say 1N, 2N, 3N, 4N. So where there's N, you're not playing, but you're playing only where there is a eighth note. You're only playing there. You only play at the point where there are 8 notes. Okay, yeah, so bear with me. I'm going to play this, though you may not be able to see, but you'll just see my fingers. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let me repeat that line again. Yeah, the song is in the key of G. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, then it continues 1 and. So you see, when I say 1 and, on the end I'm lifting my hands. On the end I lift my fingers. Let me repeat again. 1 and. So when I'm saying and, I lift off. 1 and. Because why I lift off? Because there's a silence. There's a silence. So I only play here. Down. Then there's a silence. Down. Then there's a silence. Down. Then there's a silence. Down. So it's 1 silence, 2 silence, 3 silence, 4 silence. So 1 and 2 and. Okay, that's what's happening. So 1 and 2 and 4 and then 1. Let me repeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 4. Okay, I hope you've seen what I'm trying to mean. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you see, I'm just trying to show you how to count. So there is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you get. So to complete the whole count, you have to use the word and. Okay, so that is it about this chord, this eighth note. That is it about this eighth note. So stick around. I will see you again in my next video.